Morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexey here. It is Sunday morning, and the Raptors are playing the Memphis Grizzlies today at 6 o'clock. It's going to be a really, really fun game. The last game of the 7-game road trip. If we win today, we'll be 4-3 for the road trip. We'll be 3-4 if we lose. So, Raptors, let's get this last one, baby, in Memphis. It's going to be a very interesting game. There's late news about the injuries for today that y'all need to know. Both of the All-Stars for the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., are both questionable today all of a sudden. I'm seeing on their injury report that they are listed as questionable, both of them. Ja because of right wrist soreness, and Jaren Jackson because of a right tight soreness. I don't know what a right tight soreness is. There's no body part listed. It just says right tight soreness. That's weird. Other people out. Obviously, Dillon Brooks is out today because of the hit him in the nuts. That's right. Dillon Brooks is suspended for a game for the fight or the incident with Donovan Mitchell last week. And then a really huge person that will be missing today is Steven Adams. Steven Adams is out because he is a PCL strain, and he has been out for 2 weeks already. And now he's probably going to be out for at least another month still. That's the thing. Without Steven Adams on the Memphis Grizzlies, it's very much like Portland without Nurkic. You have no big center in there. Well, business is open inside, baby. And that's the thing. The Raptors would be very smart to go in there and try and mess them up down there. Now, when we played Memphis earlier this season already, he was a big factor. Steven Adams with his physicalness and his strength. Well, he's not going to be there today. So I want to see what kind of difference this makes. This could be a very, very different Memphis Grizzlies team today. Not indicative of their second place standing in the Western Conference standings right now. That they are not totally full at all. If we don't see Ja and Jaren today, this is going to be a very interesting game because they're going to be missing their center. They're going to be missing their dog. I should call him their dog, Dillon Brooks. And, that's what I'm saying. This is going to be very, very interesting. Meanwhile, we know what our injuries are. OG is still out because of his wrist, and Otto Porter is out because of his surgery. So there's your injuries for today. And like I said, very key players on the Memphis Grizzlies are missing. Not only that, they have lost 7 of their last 8 games, y'all. And a lot of it does have to do with Steven Adams not being available for them anymore. That he is such a key player in some ways for them that his absence is really like hurting their defense. So I have a really good feeling that we can end this road trip on a good note. If I'm handicapping this game, looking at their injuries, I'm like, you know what? We have a real good chance to beat them, to pounce on them, to continue the good feelings from Houston and keep going and get that last win on the way out of this road trip, coming back home to play the Spurs on Tuesday. So I can't wait for the game today at 6. I feel real good about it. The ref crew's interesting too. I can talk about that. Let me check in with you guys this morning. Thank you, Isaac Campbell, for coming in and telling everybody to subscribe and hit like. I appreciate you, Isaac. Logical Raptors Fanatics here, Mike. Salute the real ones. Project Truth always. Thank you. Seymour saying salute. And KYRIE for CP3 and Crowder helps both teams. Your thoughts? Whoa, that's an interesting deal. I really thought that KYRIE's trying to get to LA. There's a reason why he bought a house in Los Angeles last summer, because he thought he was going to get traded there. And in a lot of ways, what he did a couple of days ago is just that the plan was all along like that. Sure, he'll mess around with Brooklyn fans' hearts and make them think that they got good things going. It's kind of like the Nets are like the Knicks. Both teams figure out ways to disappoint New Yorkers. The Knicks are a little bit more, old school with how they disappoint their fans, because they do it a pretty regular way of acting like they're a contender, and then they just don't do anything. Well, the Nets are even on a bigger level of disappointment for New York fans, because they really make you think that they have a chance by having really good players and playing really well, and then having really toxic players that fuck it all up. So it's like the same kind of thing happening for New York fans, whether you're a Knicks fan or a Net fan. It's all a disaster. That's what it is. Atlantic Division foes. Oh my gosh. Now, as far as Kyrie going to the Suns, I don't know. I haven't really heard that grumbling. In the ESPN this morning, it's more talking about either the Lakers or the Clippers, that the Clippers have entered the fray to talk to them about Kyrie. And apparently, Brooklyn is actively trying to trade him. That him saying that is like, okay, you said that doesn't mean they're going to do anything. Okay, you publicly said you don't want to be here. Great. That's a dumpster fire. Well, the team is actually actively trying to make a deal. So he is getting some, possibly will happen. And I think it really will happen with one of the LA teams. That the overtures about Laker Nation about what they want to do with this will probably make this finally happen. But get ready for Russell Westbrook, Brooklyn, because that's who you will be getting if you do get Kyrie Irving going to the Lakers. You will get Russell Westbrook in a Nets jersey. And I don't know if you want that. Seymour saying Memphis has been getting into scrums for the last couple games. Raps got to get down and dirty. Yeah, it is what it is. But Dylan Brooks won't be there today. So that will probably take a big, huge out of that factor. Plus, they don't have Steven Adams. He's going to be in bench in regular clothes. He won't be out there to fight. So unless Desmond Bane gets real tough guy with his big shoulders and his muscles wants to fight somebody, I don't think this will happen today. Just because all their fighters are suspended or hurt. So I'm not worried about it. But if we do have to get down and dirty, we know we have people that will do that. I think young Scott Wayne Barnes would love to get down and dirty with somebody and start more of his legend as a very physical, strong, tough guy in this league. Scotty will take that opportunity. I'll bet he will. Isaac Campbell saying, great news with the injury update. Holy moly, let's go. Yeah, I don't know if it's for sure. They're questionable. Questionable is interesting. I mean, even if we're missing one of those all-stars today, it makes it a lot easier. But this could be very well a Memphis B team that the Raptors are playing today. And I'm not going to be upset about that. We need all the breaks we can get for all the bad breaks we got in the first half of the season. So good stuff happening in this kind of way is all right with me. So it'll be very interesting to see. 6 o'clock is the time when the game is. So be ready. It's a little bit earlier. And we got to be ready. It's a full moon day, baby. It's this full moon manifestation. At 1:30 today, the moon will be as full as should be, the snow moon. And we can manifest. If we put intent into our thoughts about what we want in the world, this is what a full moon does. You can get that kind of feeling and kind of good things happening if you visualize goals you want in your life around 1:30 today when the moon is fullest. So hopefully we can all get together as Raptor Freaks separately and focus on good things happening for the team going forward for the rest of the season. I'll be all about that. All about that. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else you guys are saying in the comments this morning. I love to see so many people here on a Sunday morning early. Nameless saying, what's up, my brothers and sisters? Yes, Nameless. Dap, 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 dap. All right. And Mike is saying trade. Steven Adams trade pushed them into a real playoff team. When they had JV, their rim protection was an issue. Trading for Adams, a better post defender, improved with the vet guy as the last line of D. Yeah, and him missing really is crazy. They had started to lose before he got hurt, though. They'd been playing a lot of West Coast teams. And it's weird because Memphis is a Western Conference team, but when they go out west, it is kind of like a West Coast road trip, even though it's in their conference. So they have to go and play like LA and, the LA teams, Phoenix, all these teams on the West Coast. And that's when they started losing. They were on a West Coast road trip. And they lost 2 games with Adams. And then after he got hurt, they lost like another 5 in a row or so. But yeah, they've only won 1 game in their last 8 games. And we need to be continuing to put the L's on them in their pile. No, we don't want to be breaking that for them. They can continue to get L's. We need to give them a red L today. Yeah, I'm all about that. Tom Duke saying, good day, fam. Bam, bam, bam. And Seymour saying, hope you're feeling better, Nameless. Yeah, we hope our friend Nameless, who has been struggling with the COVID, is doing much better this morning. Oh, good to see Jody White. It's been a bit. Good to see Raptor Freak Jody White here. Love the Raptors, but let's give love to Canadian players, SGA and Murray, who had over 40 points last night. What a backcourt to have at World Cup. Both are committed. Are you ready, world? I don't know if they're ready for Canadians yet. In fact, I love that you brought this up, Jody, because because I actually have a tab open for what I want to talk about today that has exactly this graphic about SGA and Jamal last night. SGA last night, 42 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks in only 3 quarters. He did this kind of thing that he kind of did with Team Canada a couple times last summer, where he would do so much and the team would be so far ahead, they don't have to play him for the last quarter. So SGA did all that in just 3 quarters, 42 points, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals, and 2 blocks. And then meanwhile, Jamal Murray for Denver, 7 3-pointers last night, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and a steal for 41 points. Best team in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets. It is the summer of Team Canada. It is looking very exciting. And I agree, Jody White. This is going to be fun watching Team Canada get more and more together. And because we have this new commitment of players staying involved for the whole Olympic cycle, we can really build off things from last summer that these guys started with that nucleus. And this summer we'll be adding on to it more. It is a very, very bright future for Canadian basketball in Olympic level and just in international play in general for both men's and women's basketball. And I am so excited about it. And I am so glad you brought it up, Jody, for sure. We do celebrate our Canadians in the NBA as well as the Toronto Raptors on this channel. Click saying we barely beat the Rockets, third stringers. Memphis could be on us early. They've been struggling lately and need a win to build momentum again. Yes. Click, I know you have been on the pessimistic side of things, but we'll continue to bring you with us in some optimism. I really do feel good about Memphis. In some ways, we have had some good things happening down low all of a sudden that make me think that we can really go to maybe young Scott Wayne Barnes in the low post with no Steven Adams around. Like, let's try this, especially if Jaren Jackson isn't around either. Another kind of roving shot blocker, physical defender. If these guys are not playing, the door may be wide open for business for our guys to do some bully ball down low. I love to see some Scotty and some Precious going down low and just bully balling a smaller Memphis team because of their injuries. I'm all about that. You know, let's not count us out. We have a lot of gumption and we're pissed off and we're hurt too, just like they are hurt as far as like losing a lot. Yeah, we have a lot to get over and get up for today too. So let's not count us out on this one, Click. I believe in these Toronto Raptors that they are going to win today, and we will be 4-3 at the end of the day and have a successful West Coast road trip, one of the longest trips ever in the history of the Toronto Raptors franchise, a 7-game road trip that we can end in a winning note today if we take care of business against the Grizzlies. I'm all about it. Isaac saying best thing KYRIE has ever done is taking the heat off those LA teams foaming at the mouth for Fred VanVleet. The LA teams, you keep chasing that dumpster fire heat. Be careful what you wish for, KYRIE runners, people looking for KYRIE. Magic Johnson saying, ooh, I'd love to see KYRIE in the purple and gold. You know, LeBron saying, if KYRIE comes here, do you think we're going to win a championship? Well, duh. That's what LeBron said. Yeah, don't count your chickens before they hatch. Listen, there may be a couple of things about LeBron and KYRIE together in Cleveland and doing things good there, but I don't know. LA is a whole other animal. And, you know, KYRIE's baggage, it has accumulated a bit since the last time he played with him, LeBron. He may need like 5 bellhops to carry all that baggage he's carrying around now when he comes out to LA. So, yeah, you go ahead and think you got that fool's gold, but I don't think you guys are going to win it. No, you will not. So there's no duh that you're going to win it. You need more than 2 or 3 good players on your team, Lakers. And this is the lesson that you have not figured out over the last 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, you go ahead and get KYRIE, switch him out for Russell Westbrook and see if the results are any more different. I love it. Nameless is saying, thanks, Seymour. Feeling much better. Appreciate that. All right. Good stuff. Nameless. Buongiorno. Some fabuloso. I'm glad my good friend Nameless is feeling much better today and that the COVID has subsided, hopefully. Seymour saying, I'm eating bear steak today. Grizzlies are food. Let's go Raptors Nation. Oh, I love that. Seymour is literally going to do something like maybe we need to incorporate this into the real Mascot matchup sometime. Maybe there will be a season where the real mascot matchup is basically like a hot wing show where we have the mascot sit at tables and have to eat things to win. I don't know. I'm just thinking of creative ideas for the real mascot matchup to make it fresh. But I like that Seymour is sitting down for a meal of bear steak today. And that's fantastic. I don't even know where you get bear steak. Man, you probably shot that bear yourself and got it all ready and you're eating it yourself. Sounds like you don't get bear steak unless you go get it yourself. So I don't know. When I was going to Florida State, Seminoles, baby, I would eat gator every season before football season, very much for the same reason that Seymour Pape is eating a bear steak today, because that symbolized our arch enemy, the Florida Gators. And I was like, I'm going to eat my gator, Buffalo Gator, to get ready for a winning season for Florida State Seminoles football. So I totally understand eating your opponent before you play them. And I used to eat alligator just to get ready for the Gators down in Florida. Callie's here. Good morning. Love your energy today. Let's win today. I'm hyped. I'm hyped, baby. Let's get this going, Raptors. We got to finish this on a good note. It's the Grizzlies, their weekend, and I think we can do something today. Let's make it happen. We see Precious Achiuwa on the Instagram yesterday. He is taking pictures of being on the Memphis court again and saying, back on my stomping grounds. We know Precious Achiuwa is very, very comfortable in the city of Memphis, and I hope that he has a huge game tonight. Precious, you ain't got no big body Grizzlies in between you and the basket. You go ahead and attack that rim as much as you want to do today, because you ain't got Steven Adams hitting you out of the air, and probably no Jaren Jackson to get in your way either. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Max is here. He is reiterating what I've said with my injury report, that Ja and Jackson are questionable. The two Memphis Grizzlies All-Stars are maybe not going to be playing today, along with nutshot artist Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams, who has a torn PCL and will not be here for sure. So this is a huge part of their team. Let's look at their roster without these guys. Who do they have showing up then otherwise? Well, let's look. Their starting lineup is going to maybe only have one regular starter, and that would be Desmond Bane. So we're going to be looking at maybe Tyus Jones, Zaire Williams, Santi Aldama, who you guys brought up the other day. And I was like, who the fuck is that? Well, he's a center. And apparently he got a double-double with some three-pointers involved too the other day. So he is something. Canadian Brandon Clark is likely to be starting. And could we maybe see 2019 Toronto Raptors champion Danny Green playing a lot of minutes for the Grizzlies today, since he recently returned from that injury that Joel Embiid inflicted on him as a teammate in the playoffs last year? So, yeah, their lineup is like Desmond Bane, Tyus Jones, Danny Green, Zaire Williams, Santi Aldama, Brandon Clark, Kennedy Chandler, John Concher, Jake LaRivia, Xavier Tillman, David Roddy. That's it. That's it. It's like, look, they're not going to have possibly no Ja and no Jaren, no Dylan Brooks for sure, and no Steven Adams. This is like what we've had a lot of bad breaks this season where we play teams with bad timing. They get good things going all of a sudden off of us. Well, maybe this half of the season going for the rest of the season, we get some good breaks, because it looks like we're getting some good breaks with the Memphis Grizzlies today. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Cool Cat's here. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. Last road trip. Glad that Kyrie Irving trade talks taking over NBA discussions. In some ways, yeah, Kyrie, you're our friend. What a weird guy you are this year. You're a weird guy all around. Last year with the vaccine stuff, and then the anti-Semitism earlier this season, and all the crazy stuff with your baggage, your luggage that you have to lug around everywhere. Well, Kyrie's luggage is getting in the way and obscuring the view of the Raptors trade talks for Fred and Gary and OG and all this stuff. That's much more the flavor to talk about. The media heads at this point, Kyrie is coming out of their mouths instead of Fred VanVleet or OG Anunoby. And I'm all about that. Thank you, Kyrie, for bringing up a distraction. Maybe people will stop harassing the Raptors about coming and getting our good players. You go and talk to the Nets. They got Kyrie Irving ready for y'all, you crazy-ass teams trying to get people off of our team. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. Seymour saying, my deep freeze has elk, moose, and bear. Woo! I want you to eat some of that elk when we play Milwaukee next. I don't know. Who would you eat moose for? Maybe we got to figure that out. I love this. Tom Duke has got the barbecue out for Seymour Pape. He's got a ton of steaks all in a row. It looks like he's got at least 8 steaks out there for it sounds like for Raptor freaks, for Raptors, whoever wants them. No, the Raptors are there. They're going to eat them. Yeah, drop a recipe. All right, I'm all about it. He's using the Ninja air fryer. Air fryer is such an interesting invention. It's really crazy how quick you can cook some stuff in that air fryer. And it's no muss, no fuss. Pretty easy to clean, too. I got a great air fryer at my house. And I like to do some wings and some drumsticks with the air fryer. Real good and real easy dinner that way. Yeah. Ninja. Yes. Ninja. Yeah. You know that in UK, when the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out, they couldn't call them the Ninja Turtles because ninja's a bad word in the UK. I'm like, what the fuck? What's y'all's problem with ninja? They're assassins. They're not good people. That's what the culture in the UK thought. So they had to change the name of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. When they marketed over there, they're like Teenage Mutant Warrior Turtles or something like that. They had to call them something different. They couldn't use the word ninja. It's very strange. Yeah, and then there's a cool song by Europe on the Final Countdown album called Ninja Survive. It's so cheesy. Y'all want to laugh? Go listen to Europe, Ninja Survive. That is a funny song. It's silly. And then there's Danger on the track. The Final Countdown wasn't the only crazy good song on that album. There was KYRIE and Rock Now, Rock the Night. Whoa, early the morning night. I'm talking about Europe. The band from Sweden. Yeah. All right, let me get focused. Let's do the ref report, baby. Yeah, ref report. We have 3 referees in Memphis today, and our lead referee is Mark Davis. Wah, wah, wah. Yes, Mark Davis out of Chicago. We know Mark Davis. He's a nefarious ref in the history of the Raptors. But you know what? He's been okay with us mostly in recent years, which is good. His favorite TV show is The Wire. He likes to watch the movie Glory with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. His favorite musician is John Coltrane with that great classic jazz. His favorite book is Lonesome Dove. His favorite app is Cisco AnyConnect. He would most like to visit Venice, Italy, and his bucket list is to fly a helicopter along the Chicago River. You live in Chicago. You were born in Chicago. Why have you not done that, Mark Davis? That seems like something that every Chicago person should do. And I think that don't they have helicopter rides? You just go pay them and go right up and down the river. Maybe you do it on St. Patrick's Day when they make that river green or something like that. I don't know. His favorite meal is pancakes. So we need to make sure we've got a good fat of 100% Canadian maple syrup ready for them pancakes from Mark Davis today down there in Memphis. That's the thing. Today is the Naismith Cup. It's the Grizzlies and the Raptors, and this is always going to be this. No matter if they play in Memphis or Vancouver, that is the Canadian team that moved. So we got Canadian bragging rights on the line. Also today, we got to remember. All right, Mark Davis is a Chicago native, and he was enshrined in the Illinois Basketball Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2021. I think that's interesting. He's in the Basketball Coaches Hall of Fame. He was recognized by the Chicago Public League Coaches Association in an induction into Chicago Public League Hall of Fame. So there you go. Mark Davis is a Hall of Fame referee, guys. Now, Mark is our referee. We lost the last game he refereed this season. We win 52% of the time when he's reffing, and the Grizzlies win 47% of the time. So Mark Davis statistically favors the Toronto Raptors by 52-47. So there you go. Mark Davis is our crew chief. Let's hope he's not controversial. Our second referee is Mitchell Irvin. He's in his 9th season as a ref out of New Orleans. His favorite TV show is Power. He likes the movie Coming to America. His favorite musician is Mr. Hotline Bling, Mr. Drake. He is the guy who loves Drake. His favorite book is Between the World and Me. His favorite app is TikTok. He would most like to visit Dubai. His bucket list is skydiving. And he would like some char-grilled oysters, Tom Duke. So we've got pancakes and oysters. Not really kind of meeting in the middle there. They're very different foods. But you know what? Let's get a pancake oyster bar going. How about that? Woo! All right, let's see. Mitchell Irvin previously worked for the sports representation firm Sports West Football, the New Orleans Saints, the New Orleans Sports Foundation, and as a middle school physical education teacher and coach. So he's worked for the Saints. Mitchell Irving, the second ref, he worked for the football team. He started an organization, the Irvin Element, to help mentor adolescents and young adults. Wow, sounds like a great guy. Mitchell Irvin involved in the city of New Orleans. Our record with Mitchell is the best of the three refs. We win 58% of the time. We won the last game he refereed this season. And the Grizzlies win 47% of the time. So 58-47 for the Raptors. Mitchell Irvin, the second ref. The third ref is Fenezi Ransom. He is from Atlanta, Georgia. He's in his sixth year as a referee. So we have two younger, kind of middle refs, and then a younger ref, a middle ref, and then an older ref with Mark Davis. His favorite TV show is Jalen and Jacoby. Well, it's been canceled, Fenezi. Too bad. And his favorite movie is Enter the Dragon. Getting back to talking about ninjas, a good Bruce Lee movie. And I think Kareem's in that one, isn't he? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in Enter the Dragon. So there's a basketball relation to that. Favorite musician is The Foreign Exchange. I feel like that's like a jam band, like a little bit of a jam, like that's good stuff. His favorite book is The Tao of Abundance. His favorite app is Shazam. He'd most like to visit Cairo, Egypt. His bucket list is to learn how to play the piano. Just go learn how to play the piano. Do some chopsticks first. Fantasy Ransom. You can play a hot crust buns or something like that. There's some easy songs. You can learn how to play the piano. And his hidden talent is public speaking. So he's very good at speaking in public. Fenezi, let's see. Let's give you a little bit of a fun fact about him and his bio. The Fenezi Ransom is from Georgia. He was a standout basketball player at Winston-Salem State University, where he was named the 1993-94 Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association Rookie of the Year and earned 1994-95 All CIAA honors. He went on to play 2 years at the University of Georgia in basketball. His favorite food is hibachi chicken and shrimp. So you get that hibachi grill out there with the guy who makes the butterfly, and Fenezi would be very happy. So we got pancakes, oysters, and then hibachi chicken and shrimp. This is such a hard thing to come together with making all the foods for all three of the refs this week. And sometimes they all want steak. Well, they all want very different things this time. Fenezi, we have exactly a 50% record with him. We've won 4 and lost 4 in his short career as an NBA ref. Meanwhile, the Grizzlies are 39%, and we did lose the last game that Fenezi refed for us this season. So there you go. There's the three refs. All three of them statistically favor us, and that Memphis doesn't have a very good win percentage under any of them. So there's another thing that's kind of lining up real nice for us is the referees seem to be nice to us. And the injuries are also today. So, yeah, here we go. Angry Mexicans in the house. All right, I'll have to see what he's saying. All right, Seymour's saying Nuggets putting Bones up is a head scratcher. But if they get Levine or a good two-guard, they can do damage, Beal or KYRIE. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, the Nuggets are in a weird place over there. It's like I feel like they have a ceiling they keep hitting their heads on in the Western Conference. They do need a little bit of a shake-up. And it's interesting that Bones Highland might be the sacrifice and stuff. I don't know. I've heard a lot of rumblings about the Nuggets wanting to make moves too. Logical saying final countdown song in the final seconds of a tight game feels so right. Not gonna lie. Oh man, these guys may have had cheesy songs throughout that whole entire record, but the one song they did get right was the final countdown. Such an epic build to it in the very beginning in the intro. Oh man, and Joey Tempest, we're leaving together. Oh man, yes, I love that song. It is such a cheesy hair metal song, but it is one of the classics. Everybody knows that song and they love it, and it is a perfect sports song. Seriously is. You put that in an arena anywhere, people are like, whoa, yeah. Europe, baby. I didn't think I'd be singing Europe this morning, but hey, why not? Angry Mexicans here. What up, Rap? You gave me a strike the last time I came here. Do the strikes roll over the next day, or are they only valid for the day off? Go Hornets. You know what? I actually really like you, Angry Mexican. You are becoming a very good representative for the Charlotte Hornets organization on this channel. So you've ingratiated yourself, especially with this silliness. Honestly, they don't roll over. So you're fine. You get a clean slate every single time. Just don't piss me off enough that I want to kick you off on any given one stream. You could test the limits and maybe get a strike every time you're on here. And then I might get fed up because, oh man, you've been giving me strikes every single time. But no, I wouldn't worry about that, bro. You've actually, I really enjoy your comments recently, and you're not being a hater. In some ways, we're in the same place. Your team is just like our team, and we have to be like respectful of y'all, and vice versa, because we're not really the enemies for each other. We're just two teams trying to get it out of the mud. And I kind of respect you being here and like hanging out with us from a Charlotte fan's perspective. So no worries, bro. You're good. They don't carry over. Just don't piss me off a lot on one day and you'll be fine. Seymour saying Tim Hardaway Jr. is on the chopping blocks. Wow. Yeah, that's for Dallas, right? Listen, he's an older vet. We forget how long Tim Hardaway Jr. has been in this league at this point. I can see them trading him somewhere. Let's see. Duke saying, who's Duppy Conquerors? Dude should take a bow after his fantasy team killed it last night. That is Omari Parsons that is running Duppy Conquerors. And I mean, I saw that team after he drafted it, and he had Giannis and LeBron on the team. He's got the captains for the All-Star game on his team, both of them. And I was like looking at his roster. I'm like, how the fuck did he manage to draft LeBron and Giannis on his team? It was really a feat. And I was like, in some ways, Duppy Conquerors is the favorite to win the Raptor Freak Yahoo Fantasy Basketball League, just because he has Giannis and LeBron on the team. Yeah, take a bow, Omari. You had a great night, apparently. And yeah, he's coming for you, Tom. I looked at your stuff, Tom Duke, and you're about to run out of positions to play. Like, I think you only have 2 more games at your shooting guard right now. And it's going to be very interesting to see how you weather the rest of the season, having run out of games. Yeah, but I think Tom's going to stay up there. It's going to be hard to catch him still, because everybody's going to have to maximize using all their games. Just a little fancy break there. All right, let's see what else you guys are saying in the comments. Seymour saying Hornets' best player wore a dress and was named Grandmama. You know what? Listen, that's a dig, but it's a cool dig. Grandmama was cool. In some ways, I don't know who the best, greatest Hornet is of all time. This is an interesting conversation for Angry Mexican. In some ways, I have a very special place in my heart for Muggsy Bogues, obviously because of his connection with the Raptors, and just because he was the shortest player to ever play in the NBA. And he had just such an amazing, brilliant career in Charlotte. He was always in the top 5 of assists and steals. And the amazing fact that he played in the league at 5'3" for as long as he did, in some ways, he is the greatest Hornet of all time. Now, we could start talking about Wardell. He's another great Raptor that I really do like to celebrate, that also wore the Hornets jersey. Del Curry, the father of Steph and Seth Curry. There's other people. Some people talk about Alonzo Mourning. Some people may even bring up the name Glenn Rice, because when he was in Charlotte, boy, was he really, really good. And he's actually one of my favorite, like, old-time players, Glenn Rice. He was really, really good shooter and fantastic. So I don't know. Larry Johnson, he was one of the great Charlotte Hornets for sure. But it really was the ad campaign. It's hilarious that you brought him up, Seymour, as a dig at Charlotte's team. You know what? I thought that the drag that Larry Johnson wore in that character was hilarious. That was around the time of Little Penny and other cool, like, NBA ads. And that was just Larry Johnson's thing, Grandmama. So there you go, Angry Mexican. You get a little bit of insight of how I feel about your franchise with your greats and the players that played for your team. I don't want to bring up Kelly Trapuka. Jay Conner said, what's up, everyone? Let's go Raps. That's right. We're getting hyped. I hope they have the energy like I do this morning. I hope that they do. I hope that they show up to that FedEx Arena or whatever they fucking call it in Memphis, and they come for heads. And they come in there and they're like, I don't give a shit which Memphis Grizzlies are here to play against us. We're coming here for one thing and one thing only, and that is a W. And then we're going to come in here and try and build on some of the good things that we've been doing recently as the Raptors team. There has been a lot of head holding and just sadness and vibes checks that are just not coming back with very good readings. Well, let's change that real quick with full moon energy of today and come in there right and correct, Raptors, and come off of this road trip with some inertia of feeling good because you won overall on the whole trip. That you went out west and you went the gauntlet. If you can get a 4-3 today out of 7-game series against Western teams, That is an accomplishment. And we want y'all to win. We want y'all to be on the winning side of this road trip. So get that W today. All right, Tom Duke's rolling out the food for the refs. He's got 4 stacks of pancakes from Mark Davis. He may be very hungry. Maybe he can eat all the stacks. And we'll make sure that 100% Canadian maple syrup is in the vat. Just stick the spigot in the side and just turn it on and just pour it all on real thick. Maybe that syrup should go on the food for the other 2 refs too. I mean, I'm not even sure what that is. What is that? What are those? Oh, those are oysters. That's right. He wanted oysters. And then we got the hibachi grill, and there's the chicken and shrimp. Perfect, Tom. Perfect. Magnifique, Tom Duke, Monsieur Chef Tom Duke is a great chef of doing things. Emoticon chef of the year. Let's see. Logical saying Kareem was in Enter the Dragon. That kick mark on Bruce Lee's chest. Kareem's foot is so big, the scene is unforgettable, where Bruce has a huge foot mark that's bigger than his chest in body comparison. It's just very iconic. And Kareem was kind of like this cool NBA guy who did movies. Like, he was one of the first guys who was in a lot of movies as a player in the league. You got to remember his iconic performance in Airplane. Wow, Roger, Roger. Do we have Clarence? Yes, we do, Roger, Roger. Hey, you're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Shut up, kid. I love that movie. Kareem in movies is awesome. Tom Duke saying, Duke, that Kareem G's and Steph hurt his knee again. Yeah, I heard that Steph Curry has been hurt now. This is bad for the Warriors. They've struggled so much this year that they didn't need this. This is kind of like OG getting hurt for us. That we don't need OG getting hurt right now, just as much as Golden State don't need Steph Curry getting hurt also. Jody White saying, Bones Highland doesn't get along with some of the coaches, I've been told. Ooh, I like this insider knowledge coming from Raptor Freak Jody White. I think that's so weird because he seems like he's a good dude. I don't know. Sometimes personalities just clash and people just do not get along for some sort of weird reason. That's why I really like the Raptors and the way that we get people is we really kind of make sure that they fit before, because we don't want any dumpster fires or conflict later. That's a really big part of it. Like when they interviewed Scotty during the summer before we drafted him, they really do a personality check on him. It's like, well, is this guy going to fit with everybody else who's already on the team? We really do our homework on that. And I'll bet some teams are just like, we want the best talent. And then they throw them all together and it's like it's nitro with glycerin. It's crazy. Forgetful saying 21-year-old guard Cam Thomas came off the bench last night for the Nets and scored 44 points in a big comeback over the Wizards. KYRIE, who did not play. Maybe KD is now rethinking his opinion of his teammates. That's interesting, Forgetful. Yeah, good job by Cam Thomas. You know, listen, they're going to be garbage no matter what. They really are. They have so much money tied up in those guys. Ben Simmons is kind of lame. You know, Kevin's hurt, and now KYRIE is hurt also. Yeah, I have no faith in the Nets. They could have one good game last night with Cam Thomas. He may never play like that ever again for the rest of his career. So, yeah, I can't get behind this. I don't think Kevin Durant's opinion of wanting to stay in Brooklyn without KYRIE has changed from last summer. That once KYRIE leaves, he's going to want to leave right after him. And it may not happen in this free agency period or trade deadline right now, but it will happen in the free agency in the summer. Kevin possibly strong-arming them to want to get traded again. Fiercey's here. Good morning, fam. Let's win this tonight. Revenge game. Raptors versus Grizzlies. I love it. Fiercey Salsera. I don't know if you know, but the 2 All-Stars for the Grizzlies are questionable today. Jaren Jackson Jr. and John Morant may not even suit up and play, along with the suspended Dylan Brooks and the injured Steven Adams. So it's going to be very interesting to see who is available for the Grizzlies and what their lineup looks like. It could be very, very interesting. I see you guys are retracting your messages, sheriffs. You know what? Defund the police. Defund Seymour and Tom from talking. That's silly. You guys talk as much as you want. Logical saying Larry Johnson, if I remember right, and Bogues were a good team for the Hornets. Maybe their best in results. No, this is true. In that era, it was really like a Celtics-Hornets rivalry. The Celtics would play the Hornets in the playoffs, and they'd have these crazy bam, 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 really against each other with Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson, Dell Curry, and Tyrone Muggsy Bogues. Very interesting teams, and they were probably the best Charlotte Hornets teams ever. in their history. And this is near the beginning of their history because they started when the Heat started. They both came in around 89, just before the expansion with us coming in. And well, no, the Timberwolves came and the Magic came in between, but it was the Heat and the Hornets that came in, and then the Timberwolves and the Magic, and then the Raptors and the Grizzlies. But yeah, they had that probably was one of the best Charlotte teams way back then with Mourning, Johnson, Bogues, and Curry for sure, for sure. Forgetful saying, "Hey, angry Mexican, you deserve an automatic walk for your loyalty to your team." That's what I'm saying. Listen, I don't hate other people for rooting for their teams. In fact, if you have that kind of freak that we do for the Raptors, for your team, I respect that in the most ways. That's why some of the Philly fans who come in here, we really get along because we have the same diehard feelings about our teams. And in some ways, we can respect each other for that. So, Angry Mexican, you get respect for being a diehard for your team in troubled times, because it's not easy to admit I'm a Charlotte Hornets fan and just come out around and say that to people. You can very much easily get insulted for it. And I'm not about that. I appreciate you being here. Once again, you're cool. Duke saying Duppy's team is freaking loaded. I was wondering also, how the fuck did he manage to get all those premium players? I know. Well, a lot of us were drafting Raptors players in the first round. I drafted Scotty with my pick, and maybe that was too early. And things just lined up in a way where he could get Giannis in the first round and get LeBron in the second. It's crazy. Curtis is here. Dylan Brooks is out. Steven Adams is out. And Jaren Jackson and Ja Morant are questionable. Yes. Everybody's coming in and talking about the injury report because it is probably very much going to be a factor about how this game goes tonight. These are important players for the Grizzlies, and they may have a really hard time overcoming and winning this game without them. Seymour saying Calgary Surge will play in what league? That is going to be in the CEBL along with the Scarborough Shooting Stars and other teams, the Honey Badgers, Hamilton Honey Badgers. That's right. They have already expanded out west, and I believe they have a team in Winnipeg also now. So the CEBL teams is really, truly becoming the Canadian Elite Basketball League, and that means they're going to be across Canada. So, yeah, that is what league they will be playing in. Seymour, they will be playing Scarborough. And Guelph. I think Guelph actually is the team that moved to Calgary. They took the team out of Guelph and moved it out west already. Angry Mexican saying, Hornets drafting Kobe at the 13th pick and then trading him for Vlade Divac still hurts my soul. Kobe should be the best Hornet ever. It is a crazy thing to think about. That is true. Charlotte Hornets drafted Kobe Bryant and turned around and traded him to get Vlade Divac like right away. It is so crazy to think what could have been. Yeah, it is really, really crazy. In fact, the league would look totally different in some ways if Kobe Bryant had played in Charlotte instead of the Lakers. You got to think about all those championships the Lakers won in the 2000s. That wouldn't happen if Kobe Bryant had stayed a Hornet this whole time. In fact, maybe Kobe wouldn't have the legend that he has. Who knows what would have happened with the Hornets? I'm sure they would have been very good, but who knows if they would have had a whole lot of success in some ways. There's no guarantees. But that is a very interesting thought exercise as far as Kobe being drafted by the Hornets and then getting traded for Vlade. Vlade was pretty good for the Hornets at the time, but my God, that is not a trade that Charlotte Hornets fans like or enjoy from the history of their franchise for sure. Nako saying, my favorite movie with the basketball player is Uncut Gems with Kevin Garnett. That's a fantastic movie. I like that movie way better. No offense, Wancho, but Uncut Gems is way better Adam Sandler basketball movie than the one that you're in. I'm sorry, Bo Cruz. That's just the way it is. Uncut Gems is fantastic. In fact, it's a movie that could have been made by Scorsese or somebody like that. It's just that kind of cool crime, kind of gritty kind of movie. And the fact that there's all kinds of NBA connections to it with Kevin Garnett's very fantastic in that movie. And it's just a really high stakes thriller kind of movie. I love that movie so much too. And I'm with you, Nako. But you know what? I don't know if that's my favorite overall of all time basketball related movie. I have to really search and think about all the movies throughout time to figure that one out. Jody White saying Hornets also had Kendall Gill, solid player. Yeah, everybody forgets about Kendall Gill. Yeah, he was an important player for them, and he was a leading scorer for them for a little while. He had some parts of his career in the Nets and also on the Bucks. But yeah, he's kind of a player that's forgotten in the history of the NBA. Kendall Gill was a pretty serviceable, good player, and I'm glad you mentioned him and brought him up in the list of Hornets I was talking about. Seymour saying, why is Taco banned from the league? Toronto could use him. I don't think Taco Fall is actually banned from the league. I think that they've just realized that he is just too slow. That, like, look, he's so huge and so tall, but he really doesn't get up and down the court very quickly. And that this is a very important part of the NBA. There's a lot of players that played in the NBA in the 80s and 90s that would never ever get to see the court at this point. That athleticism has way gone further beyond than guys like Greg Kite or Brad Lohus or Jeff Corzine. They had a lot of these big, huge white guys at the end of the bench on a lot of these NBA teams. None of these guys would be able to play in the league at this point. It's just too fast and too quick. And in some ways, Taco Fall's as fast as Greg Kite. And that's part of why. That is exactly part of why. Yeah, Omari's laughing. He's laughing all the way to the bank in his fantasy league. He's like, ha, 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 ha. I got Giannis and LeBron, and my fantasy team kicked so much ass last night. I love that. I love that so much. Logical saying Taco Fall wasn't really interested in the NBA. He wanted to be an engineer more, but now is probably soaking up the money he can be set, but not driven enough possibly. This is so cool. I did not know this about him, that he has aspirations in a professional way as an engineer. It's true. Taco could go to China and he could get like a huge payday over there and like never have to work for the rest of his life. And then maybe he could even do like the engineer work just as fun afterwards and never have to worry about anything. That's really cool. I didn't realize that side of him, that he's very interested in being an engineer. Seymour saying, thanks, Logical. That's very interesting. Angry Mexican saying, thank you to Forgetful. I'm hoping for a winner soon. And Jody's saying, I'd rather have Zach Edey next year than Taco Fall. Ooh, I'm totally standing next to Jody White on that one. Zach Edey is a stud. And his performance for the Purdue Boilermakers this season in the college basketball is super, super impressive. And of course, he's already in the Team Canada system, getting some tutelage under our great coach, Nick Nurse. So there's a familiarity with him and Nick Nurse already. Zach Edey, he's Canadian. What's not to like? Let's get this guy up here. We could have two center projects coming up with Koloko and Zach Edey. They're a little bit different kinds of players, and that we can have a diversification of big guys. We can come out with big different looks. I'm all about drafting Zach Edey this season if we can, but I would like it to be with the second pick of our draft, not with the lottery pick we're going to get, which is going to be a top 10 pick. They're already like mock drafts being done on ESPN, and they have us drafting 9th, getting a guy named Cameron, but they're not factoring in the lottery balls and how those balls can be bounced around. And that order could change very quickly. They're just going off of the way that it stands in the standings right now. But listen, we are lucky. If we're going to be in the lottery and we're going to get ping pong balls, we are going to be getting a higher pick than we should get because of our record. Trust me, we'll be picking in the top 5 probably this draft if we continue to play as badly as we've done. Seymour saying, point to your wrist because Dame time is up. He really needs to be moved, in my opinion. Him and Bradley Beal, to me, are these two guys on two ends of the coast in the United States that have been so loyal and so good to their franchises, have said at times they'd love to be on that team for their whole entire NBA careers. In some ways, they have shown that they are very committed to staying in Portland or in Washington, but I don't believe them completely. This has got to get so old and tired. I mean, how many years have these guys gone through the ups and downs on their two franchises and not really felt like they've gotten anywhere? I think that you're right, that the writing is on the wall for both of them in some ways, and that in some ways they are trade pieces that can get involved with toxic trade pieces like KYRIE and Russell Westbrook somehow, some way. Yeah, this is very interesting. And if there's any point in time that Bradley Beal or Damian Lillard are going to leave the teams that drafted them, that have had them on their teams forever, it may be right around now. Very interesting. Mike saying Taco actually said it was a tough decision whether to come to the NBA or continue to become an engineer. He said he was going to do both, I think, in the interview. That's fantastic. You know what? Listen, don't just rely on your NBA career. Go do something else and make some good money, Taco Fall. Yeah, it's good. Omari saying Nick is in the perfect tampering position to get all the good Canadians on the Raptors. No one will find out. I mean, seriously, that's not far off. In some ways, him having a relationship with SGA and Jamal Murray, two great Canadians that both scored 40 points in the league last night, is not going to hurt the Raptors' chances in free agency. In fact, this may be part of what kills this whole idea that is not a free agency destination, Toronto, anymore, because there's going to be all these high profile Canadian players that would love to maybe come back and play for Toronto, just like a hockey player would want to play for the Maple Leafs. So we may have that phenomenon more and more, and this may be part of what overcomes this whole idea that Raptors can't get good free agents, because SGA is a really good free agent. If we were able to get him at some point as a free agent, that's a huge, big free agent acquisition. Jamal Murray, same thing. So, the ties Canadians have to Canada and maybe possibly wanting to play for the Raptors could be very strong in overcoming the slight that says that Toronto's not a free agent destination. Yeah, let's get nationalism involved. It usually does do good. And I think it's true. They can't help but learn more about Nick because he's their coach on Team Canada. And maybe there's some things they really like about him. And once again, them getting kind of an established relationship in that kind of way. Yeah, some might say that's tampering. But I don't know. This is a kind of a gray area and a weird area. And maybe this is part of the reason why we set this up, that Nick is the Team Canada coach, because this does kind of help the Raptors in an indirect way. Nako's saying, whenever I do a mock draft, we're typically around 7th, though I've seen us get the 1 through 3 at least 3 times. The statistics and the probabilities of us getting a high draft pick are crazy good just because of our shitty record. And that's the thing. It could be anywhere in a range. I think that when we talk about, we're mock drafting at 9th, that's probably the worst we could probably get. That we should probably be expecting at least a top 10 pick for sure, if not a top 5 pick. So let's see. Jody's saying, I want Keontae George if we're in that 7th to 9th pick area. Okay. I have not looked at any of the prospects, so I can't, with a knowledgeable perspective, say anything about any of these players. But near the end of the year, when we start talking more about draft stuff, I will definitely be looking at these names. Forgetful saying, back in the day, you could watch Wilt move like a 6'1" guy. Then came Kareem, also very athletic giant. Yeah. Yeah, big guys like Barkley that can move like that doesn't even look like they're carrying the weight that they have. It's fantastic when you have agile bigs like Barkley or Shaq. Even Shaq was a crazy agile big too. Seymour saying those clubs are hugging SGA and Murray like a koala bear. It would be nice to try and peel them away, but I doubt it. I hope they opt out and come home. Well, that's the thing. A lot of different things could happen. It could be that SGA gets sick of the bullshit of just being a farm for young picks and players coming in, never really getting any higher. And he's just kind of like this guy who's around kind of as a leader and the lead scorer, but he doesn't see them really actually building into something. Well, down the road, when he is a free agent and he has choices, we have to see. That's what I'm saying. But you're right. They're not going to trade these guys. And that's why all the fans in Raptors Nation that lust for SGA need to shut up and wait until he's actually a free agent. And that's not for a couple of years. He's locked down with Sam Presti and the Thunder. And we're not going to get our chance to jump at him or even have a chance to him maybe come in here until that contract's up. He's not the kind of guy who's going to demand a trade and force himself out like KYRIE. He's more likely to honor his contract, stay there, and then make decisions afterwards. Omar's saying, I got Wemby on the Raps and 3 rolls on Tankathon just now. Is this like a game? Is this like some sort of weird online game that you can play? That's cool. I like this. Yeah, all right. Keep making it look like we're going to get Wemby. That's fantastic. All right, let me do a little recap for yesterday's game for the Raptors 905. We had a fantastic game played by our affiliate team in the G League, and I just want to talk about it and give it so much shine because I watched the game yesterday, and it was fantastic. We were getting our ass beat by the Cleveland Charge. This is the second game in a row that we played Cleveland in the last couple of days here in Toronto and Mississauga. And we blew them out in the first game by a lot. And we had all these guys in double digits, and we had like a 30-point win, something like that. And it was fantastic. Gabe Brown had that Vince Carter between the legs dunk in the game. And, well, this game was interesting. They had a really good crowd in the building for a Saturday afternoon game in Mississauga. The crowd was live and very loud. And the players say that in Mississauga, they really do feed off of the crowd in that building, that they come correct and it really helps them. David Johnson, in particular, talking about the crowd from Mississauga being exemplary and a huge, huge part of helping them overcome a very big lead that Cleveland had yesterday, where they were getting their ass beat. Not gonna lie, Sharif Cooper came back for the Cleveland Charge. He did not play in the first game for them, but he came back in this game and he had 21 points and he started leading them. Eric Curry says he's the leading scorer in the G League, and they had him come back for them. And they were really tearing us up. They were up by 15 at the half, the Cleveland Charge, and they had scored 70 points at halftime. The G League Raptors 905 let the other team score 70 points in the first half yesterday. And if I told you that and told you that they still won the game, you'd be like, wow, that's very impressive, because it is. It very much is. Now, one of the big players for the Cleveland Charge yesterday was Evan Mobley's older brother, Isaiah Mobley, and he was kind of tearing it up. He had 22 points and 14 rebounds in the game, and he was looking like absolutely like the man in this game in the first half. And they were talking about how when they asked Isaiah Mobley who the better brother is, he says, I'm the better brother than Evan. And I laughed when I heard that. I'm sure, of course, you think that. But come on now. You're the better brother of your younger brother, Evan Mobley. Isaiah, seriously? Come on now. Be real here. Come on now, bro. You just say that because you got to, because you're a competitor. Now, all right, my 3 stars for the Raptors 905 yesterday in a fantastic game, because there's a couple of different guys that really brought us home, because we did not take the lead until the last couple minutes of the game, and we really did come back and just barely come back and get them right at the end. And there were huge baskets by Ron Harper Jr., Jeff Doughton Jr., Sterling Brown, things that were done by David Johnson throughout the game that were really fantastic. But my 3 stars for the game, number 1 star, Sterling Brown, once again, he's been absolutely fantastic for the Raptors 905 since he returned from his assignment with the Lakers. He had 18 points, 10 rebounds, double-double with 6 assists. He shot 7 of 12 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He made his only free throw, a +5 with 18 points. Now, there was really good balance among the Raptors 905 yesterday as far as nobody scored over 20 points. Isn't that crazy? They had 7 players in the teens in double digits, but nobody got over 20 points. So Sterling Brown's my number 1 player of the game. Who are my other guys? I really like Jeff Doughton because he was a 4 for 8 from the field. He had 4 rebounds, 2 assists, a steal, and a block. He was 10 points, but he hit a really key 3 in the last minute of the game, which was the dagger to really put them over the top and not allow Cleveland to charge back and try and win the game right at the end. So Jeff Doughton with a huge dagger last night is my 2nd star. And then my 3rd star is a new guy who just showed up on the team recently. He's the center, Tillman. Tillman was 6 of 9 from the field. He was a +5. He had 3 offensive rebounds, 5 rebounds altogether, 15 points. And I really like how hard he was working out there on the court. He was really, really getting after the rebounds, and he has size. And this is something we've needed on this team with Koloko and him showing up to help Reggie Perry. Because in a lot of ways, the Raptors 905 has played almost their whole entire season without a true center. The only center that we've really had down there was Koloko and this Tillman guy who just showed up. So I like number 0 for the Raptors 905, the new guy, Jeremiah Tillman. He's played very well. So there's your 3 stars, Sterling Brown, Jeff Doughton Jr., and Jeremiah Tillman. But very fantastic game. And I love seeing Delano on Instagram on the Raptors 905 count. He's with the main team, of course, in Memphis, but he has it on his phone and he's watching the highlights from the 905 and he's celebrating them for winning their game yesterday. And he's showing the highlights of them winning, and Delano putting it on blast. Of course, he's happy partly because he's not with them. He's with the main squad, of course, but he's still showing support for them and really proud of them. And this is a big deal, seriously, because the Cleveland Charge have the best record in the Eastern Conference and the G League right now. They are the number 1 team in the G League on the East side. So beating them is no slouch. They were 9-2 before they came to Toronto this past week, and now they're 9-4. And we're 8-5. So I like it. That means the Raptors 905 are rising in the ranks on the Eastern standings for the G League. So good job, G League team yesterday. Y'all did fantastic overcoming a huge deficit, like a huge deficit. They were down by 21 at one point, and 15 at the half. And they were really behind the whole entire game until right at the very end when they came up in the fourth quarter and won the game. Good job, 905. There was a Ryan Hawkins dunk in the middle of the game that everybody went crazy for. It wasn't as impressive as the Gabe Brown through the legs dunk, but Ryan Hawkins is saying that he was inspired by Gabe Brown, and that's why he wanted to do his dunk. And then, of course, all his teammates went crazy when he had a dunk in the game, Ryan Hawkins. So just good vibes all around in Mississauga yesterday. Great crowd, great game, great comeback win by the Raptors over the #1 Eastern team in the G League, the Cleveland Charge, beating them both games here in Mississauga this week. Such good stuff. I love it so much. All right, let's keep going. Mike's saying Magic Shaq was the best version of a heavy center, in my opinion. Basic role stuff at the highest level. Then he got lazier and slower in LA. Not gonna lie, he got fatter too. He got heavier. He wasn't as lithe. He wasn't as agile, and he wasn't as quick to get to places. I know exactly what you're talking about, Mike, because I was in Florida when Shaq was a rookie, and I was very much watching every single Orlando Magic game at the time. The Raptors did not exist yet, and the Magic were my team. And I would watch the Magic all the time because they were the team that was on TV in Tallahassee. And Shaq as a rookie was something else. I cannot lie. The amount of stuff that I saw him do that was so special at 7'1", 250 pounds was insane. That this dude's athleticism for a man his size is actually super, super underrated. So I got to get behind that. But, the things that I've heard about Russell and Chamberlain from back in the day, just how quick they were for their size. I think Chamberlain really is like the pre-Shaq Shaq, that his combination of size and speed and agility was just as impressive in his era as Shaq's was. And then in some ways, Shaq has overshadowed Wilt on just how impressive and how he was the most dominant player in the league way before Shaq was. But in some ways, Shaq is probably the most dominant player in the history of the NBA. But Wilt and him are very close. In some ways, you could say Wilt, just because he has a 100-point game, and some of the scoring things that Wilt did back in his day, Shaq never did. So it's very interesting. An argument to say who's the best, most agile, dominant big man in the history of the NBA. Is it Wilt Chamberlain or Shaquille O'Neal? I'm not sure. Basketball Rewind's here. Good to see you, Van Hoot. Scoot Henderson will be playing 905 in March, I believe, on the 5th. People support the 905 and check out young, top-tier talent for cheap if you can. I can't get behind this sentiment any more than what Van Hoot has said here. Guys, go to the 905 games. They're fantastic. The arena looked so full yesterday for a 2 o'clock in the afternoon game on Saturday, and it's just really nice to see that kind of support and the cheers, the defense, the Raptors chants, let's go Raptors. It's so fantastic to see in that smaller environment, but they had the overhead look, and that place looked packed. So we can continue to pack up the Paramount Fine Foods Center in Mississauga for more of these games going out for the rest of the G League season. That's fantastic. Support the 905, just like what Basketball Rewind's saying. And check out Basketball Rewind's YouTube channel. Good content. Basketball Rewind on YouTube. Nako's saying we should sign Cooper to a 10-day. You're talking about Cooper, Sterling Brown. No, Cooper. Who? Cooper. We should sign Cooper. Which Cooper are you talking about? Give me a full name, Gerald. I don't know that name, Gerald. Who are you saying Cooper? Who's Cooper? I don't know who you mean. Seymour saying Above the Rim, #1. Sunset Park, #2. Best basketball movies, #3. And White Man Can't Jump. Okay, that's a good list. I was a really big fan of that old Leonardo DiCaprio movie, Basketball Diaries. It's about a drug addict, but he loves basketball, and there's a lot involved in it. Jim Carroll. Very interesting movie, that movie. Then, of course, we can go over a lot of the really great ones like Hoosiers, Coach Carter. There's so many good old basketball movies to watch. But I like your list. That's not a bad list. White Man Can't Jump. Jody's saying, plus support Leonard Miller. Canadian Ignite, who will be drafted, not getting enough attention, good size and high motor. It's interesting, though. Leonard Miller is on he's going to be at the All-Star weekend as a representative for the G League Ignite in the G League All-Star part. He actually got added to it already. So I believe he's going to be playing in the game. So he is getting a little bit of recognition for that. But yeah, he's a great young player on the Ignite. And as much as we should go see Scoot Henderson, well, we should check out Fort Erie's Leonard Miller playing for them also when he comes to town, because he is on the Ignite also. And a good point, Jody. Once again, Jody's on fire today. Logical Raptors fanatic saying, I got the rest here. Basketball Diaries. He got game, rebound, the GOAT, love and basketball, the air up there, crossover, Coach Carter, Glory Road, the way back, Space Jam. There's a lot of good basketball movies out there. What was it? Juice. I remember there was a movie called Juice back in the day. Then we got to think about Ray Allen. He got game. That is a fantastic movie by Spike Lee with Jesus Shuttlesworth. There's a lot of good basketball movies out there. Seymour saying, who's your favorite player all time outside the Raps organization? Mine was Reggie Miller. My favorite player of all time, and still is not a Raptor, is Dennis Rodman. It's always been Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was my favorite player as a little kid, and he always will be. In fact, I'm proud to be a Facebook friend with him, and I do interact with him at times. It's crazy. I will talk to Dennis on Facebook, and he'll actually talk back to me. I think it's partly because my name's Alexey, and his daughter's name is Alexis. So he's like open to talking to people with the name Alex in the front of it because of the love of his daughter, Alexis. And she's actually the name that he cut into the back of his head with his haircut. Back in the very beginning, before he started dyeing his hair, he would shave in messages in the back of his head. And he had his daughter's name shaved into the back of his head, and it said Alexis. So, yeah, Dennis and I are friendly. We've been Facebook friends for about 10 years, and I've had ongoing discussions with him at different times. Like when he was in North Korea a lot, I was talking to him then. So I was telling him, I was like, Dennis, you're going to save the world. You're going to fix world peace by becoming friends with Kim Jong-un, and, you're going to end up getting a Nobel Peace Prize. And he's like, oh, man, you're such a good fan. I love that to happen. Stuff like that. It was crazy, like talking to Dennis Rodman online and being Facebook friends with him. But he's very cool. I told him before he was in the Hall of Fame, way back, I said, you're going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. He's like, oh, thanks. You're a good friend, good fan. I really like you. And then he was like, also, like when he got in, I congratulated him. And it was like, it's just cool to be able to have that avenue to communicate directly with Dennis Rodman. But yeah, that's my favorite player of all time, Dennis. And there's so many different things that are important about him, just as far as like his influence on culture and like identity and like just the things he was doing, like wearing the wedding dress and the makeup and the things he was saying. It was really kind of like scary to a lot of people. And he was important for a lot of people in different ways because of his outlandishness. He kind of opened up culture and identity and different things in a more open way as a mainstream athlete. Allen Iverson changed a lot of the style and things about the NBA, but so did Dennis Rodman. And we don't totally give him enough credit. There's a reason why Jeremy Sohan is doing all kinds of Dennis Rodman tributes right now in San Antonio. He's just doing even the one-handed shooting of the free throws, not to mention, of course, the dyeing his hair and wearing the number 10. This dude is very much trying to be Rodman right now. But we all know who's the best Rodman in the league right now. That's Chris Boucher. He is the Rodman of the league, Rodman of the North, Chris Boucher. I love it. All right, let's see who else's favorite players are. Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan is a great favorite player to have, Omari Parsons. He's on my short list also of my favorite all-time players. He's probably in my top 10 of all-time favorite players, other than Raptors, if we're making that list. Oh, you mean Sharif, the guy who was on Cleveland, of course, that Cooper. Well, he's a little guard. I don't know if we want him. I don't know. I wasn't that super impressed with him, even though he's leading the league in scoring for the G League. I'm not that impressed with him. Tobias is saying, can't go wrong with Slam Dunk Ernest. That is a great basketball movie, Tobias. Yes, Slam Dunk Ernest. All the Ernest movies are great. Jim Varney was a comedic genius. You know what I mean, Vern? You know what I mean? Hey, Vern, what you doing over there, Vern? I love Jim Varney. Oh, my gosh. Yes. Seymour's laughing. Logical win in. Fiercely saying Dennis Rodman was solid. Yeah, it's just that he was so controversial and so crazy and such an X factor, but undeniably a champion and a winner. Because wherever he went, he made his team so good. And he did it in the way that wasn't the most direct. He did it as a rebounder and the defender. And it just, Jordan has so much respect for Rodman. And that says enough right there. That Michael Jordan, there's not a whole lot of people in the league that he truly, really loves and respects. And Dennis is actually one of them. As much of a headache he was at times, he really was a part of that second trilogy of a three-peat for the Chicago Bulls. And what he did added next to Pippen and Jordan was really, really special. But I wasn't. I was an early Rodman fan. I was a fan of the Rodman Pistons when they had the championships with the Bad Boys, and then when he went to the Spurs and he played next to David Robinson, the Spurs were my other team, so it was a really good fit. I really loved Rodman on the Spurs with Robinson and Terry Cummings and Vernon Maxwell and those guys. Yeah, those were the days. Seymour saying my older brother was Bulls, my younger brother was Knicks. I picked Pacers before the 95 Raps. We fought every game. Something this team needs to do. We need wins, man. That's crazy. Like you with your brothers, I can totally tell what that would be crazy in the 90s or something like that. Like the Knicks and the Pacers, Reggie in the Garden with Spike Lee, all that history, amazing stuff. So much fun stuff. And that's why I can see why you like Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller's a great player too. I love Reggie Miller in a lot of ways too. Like, and I really do have a lot of respect for him that he played his whole entire career for Indiana. And it's really sad that he didn't get that championship, which he probably could have gotten near the end of it if certain things had not happened, like the Malice in the Palace really fucked up the Pacers organization right at the end of Reggie's career. And that was really sad to see in some ways. But yeah, Bulls, Knicks, and Pacers, those were the three teams y'all were rooting for. Yeah, that's a crazy household. And some lively debates, I'm sure. Jody's saying Rodman could party all weekend and come into the next game with hardly any rest and get 18 rebounds with ease. He's just boundless energy. And the thing that's really cool about Rodman, he was a pogo stick. He had this really good bounce where he could jump repeatedly like 10 or 12 times and just continually get up there. And that's how he used to get the rebounds. And in fact, I wish that some of our guys had this. Maybe Scotty could do this because he does seem to have that bounce, pogo stick kind of bounce. Is like Rodman would tip it over and over again and just be the guy who kept jumping to be able to get it finally, but everybody else would stop jumping. And then that's how we'd get rebounds. Like they'd all jump together. He'd tip it and he'd tip it again, tip it straight up, tip, 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 tip. And they'd all stop jumping because they couldn't keep jumping. And then he'd just grab it. He's so good. He was so good. I love it. Let's see. Logical saying Seymour, not gonna lie, my list is probably Hoop Dreams, Hoop Dreams, Hoop Dreams. And then Rebound to the Story of the GOAT, and then Basketball Diaries. Yeah, there's some good movies there. Really good movies. Seymour saying, Sohan of the Spurs changed his hair color at halftime, loyal to his squad. That is insane. So he literally went in and sprayed his hair in the middle of the game at halftime. Well, that's much better than Keon Clark drinking a fifth of vodka, or something. Go ahead and get your hair sprayed on something. That's crazy. Nako's saying my favorite non-Raptor is either Michael Jordan or Jimmy Butler. Those are good picks, Gerald. I can respect those for sure. Jimmy's a very interesting guy. I have way more respect for him now than I did when he first came in the league. It's over time I've really got more respect for him. Really around the Philadelphia-Toronto series that we won with Kawhi, that's when I really started to really respect Jimmy. Let's see. Seymour saying, when the Bulls won, my bro would scream, "We won." I'd look at him like, "You ain't from Chicago. You're such a hater." Good time. That's good stuff. That's good. Talking trash. Yeah, that Bulls brother, he had the most fun, I'm sure, in that whole time back then. Fiercely saying, I actually really enjoyed watching him on The Celebrity Apprentice. Very smart, creative, and business savvy. Yeah, there's one thing that I don't like about Dennis is his connection to Donald Trump. He's still okay with him and he still has endorsed him at times, even with all this crazy bullshit from his presidency and all this kind of stuff. Dennis is kind of still on Team Trump. And I hate that. I hate that so much. But in some ways, maybe he can change things with him or something. But no, this is the crazy thing. I watched those seasons too, because I was a big fan of that TV show way before Trump ever got anywhere near the politics and the bullshit. But yeah, Dennis was surprisingly very good on The Apprentice. He was very astute. And he was actually like, some people would like want to knock him as somebody who wouldn't be a good team player, but he was actually doing pretty good things on that show from what I remember. Yeah, that was fun too. I was really impressed with him on that show too. G saying Bleacher Report just came out. Nets are benching KYRIE until he's traded by the deadline. Looks like he's going to be traded for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's what Woj is saying this morning, that the Nets are actively putting in the work to move him. That his sources are saying that they are on the phone. And they are trying to work something out to get him the hell out of there. That injury that he said he has, it's bullshit. He's sitting on purpose. He could have played last night. I'm sure he could have, but this is what's happening. And they're saying they're going to bench him until he gets moved. Well, something's really fucked up. Once again, I think that the thing that happened earlier this season where he had to go through a checklist to get back to being and playing and stuff like that, rightfully so, because of his anti-Semitic connection to that book. Yeah, I think that damaged things with them, obviously. And, why does he want to play for Joe Tsai at this point? I don't think he does. And that's probably part of it. That's probably a big, big part of it. Jody's saying Hoosiers with Gene Hackman, great movie. Good Sunday afternoon movie, maybe to watch. Haven't seen it in years. Laugh out loud. Larry Bird's favorite non-Raptor, funny trash talker too. Larry's another one of my old favorites. It's weird because it was hard to be like somebody who kind of liked the Celtics and the Pistons in the late 80s. But I did. I was kind of a fan of the Celtics then. This is why Boston Sports thinks I'm a Celtics fan, but I'm not. I was more of a Larry Bird fan because I really did like Larry. And, I didn't mind Kevin McHale. Chief was cool too. But, I don't like the Celtics franchise overall. But if there was a Celtics team that I kind of admired and liked, that was the one late 80s, early 90s with Larry and them. So I did get to see them live too, which was really awesome. To get to see Larry Bird play in person against the Atlanta Hawks and Dominique Wilkins in the late 80s was such a fantastic game that I got to go to. Let's see. Logical saying, I like gritty movies. I grew up in the streets world, so it connects to more of what I grew up through. It's the type of stuff that seems more realistic in sense for me. Crazy backward. No, that makes sense. And your list of basketball movies reflects that, I guess. Cowboys here. Good morning, Lex and Raptor Freaks. What's up? Hope everyone is having a great day. Sorry, I've been busy renovating an old friend's house. Yesterday, we built him a handicap ramp into his house because he's in a wheelchair. It looks like. All right. Well, Cowboy, you go and be a humanitarian and do what you do. I don't even know if this has to do with your work with Tada. You're just doing this out of the goodness of your heart for your good friend. You're a fantastic person, Bradley. Call Tada. They can come and help you renovate your house because they are very good. Tada is in the phone book in the 416, and they can help you out just like they're helping his friend this weekend. What a humanitarian. I love it. Tobias is saying, as long as Kyrie doesn't go to the Lakers, I don't care where he goes. In some ways, Tobias, I think if he went to the Lakers, it's fine. It'll be a fun dumpster fire. Trust me, it's not going to work out if he goes to the Lakers. They can think that they're going to get championships in LA, but they're not. They really won't. There's still issues between, I know that Kyrie and LeBron have wanted to play with each other for a year or so now, and they've talked about it a lot. But I don't think they actually will be good together because in some ways they didn't get along totally when they were together in Cleveland. And they're not totally remembering all that. It may be this sounds good as an idea, but the reality of it when it gets on the ground and it's there is not going to look the same as what they thought in their head. Trust me. So, yeah, let that dumpster fire be a dumpster fire like that. The way that the Lakers salary cap is structured with 3 max guys, like Mike said, with 105% of their salary tied up in 3 players, they're never going to be good enough to contend or do anything because they're totally tied up in 3 contracts for the whole entire team. So, yeah, let them go ahead and go out there. It won't be very much different than Russell Westbrook being there. Trust me. It'll be the same shit. Raymond Jacobs saying, I don't want him to go to the Clippers, honestly. I think Kyrie going to the Clippers, that's not likely, though. They already have John Wall. Why the fuck would they get Kyrie, too? I don't know. Maybe John Wall would be traded back. Raymond Jacobs saying, hey, Brad, did you get a chance to check your fantasy messages? Bradley, Tada, you need to check. You have a trade on the page for the Yahoo Fantasy from Raymond Jacob. So you got to check that out, see what he's offering you. Cowboy, salute to Cowboy for his humanitarian work. Tom Duke saying, nicely done, damn man, daddy-o. Lion Hunter saying, so who do you think from the Raptors gets traded, Lex? Well, I've kind of been looking at this question a couple times this week. And at this point, if I want what I want, I think that we either trade Gary or Pascal. And that we don't trade any of the other guys, that it's either Gary or Pascal. And I'm saying Pascal because I think we can get a haul for him. And in some ways, we can do the things that he does on the team with other guys stepping up into his spot. Gary is just the kind of player that is kind of similar to a lot of other players in the league. And in some ways, we may be able to find somebody just like him easier. I'm not into trading Fred or OG. I really do look at them as being like the brain and the heart of our team. And obviously, I don't want to go near any of the youngsters. So that's really my reasoning at this point, Lion Hunter, that if we're going to trade someone, I don't even endorse trading either one of those guys either. I kind of like to keep them and keep them around. But if we're going to, Gary's probably number one with Pascal as a maybe distant second. Gary's very much the main guy that needs to be traded probably right now. As much as he's playing well, his price tag is going to be so high this year in the offseason for a free agent that we don't want it. We're not going to be able to afford him. So it may be good if we get ahead of things and just go ahead and trade him before the deadline. So we'll have to see. Fun guy saying, hey, bro, I'm seeing a major trend with potential trade guys all sitting out. Westbrook, Irving, which worries me. With OG too, the deadline is going to be huge. Yeah, I think OG's injury is legit, though. And there is concern because there's no way of faking that fall that he took with that caused the injury. And, maybe that's partly why Nick was confused. And maybe, yeah, there may be some connections, but I doubt it. I mean, part of it is also OG would have gone home or he would have left the team if he was very unhappy in that kind of way or sitting in this kind of way. I mean, is KYRIE coming to the arena and sitting on the bench if he's not playing? I don't think he is. So that's the difference. Is OG's very much involved in paying attention to our games on the bench in street clothes. He's very much engaged. He's talking to the players. They're talking back and forth. Him and Kem were having all kinds of conversations in the game against Houston. And I don't think that we can read him the same way that we're reading Westbrook or KYRIE right now. Let's just put it that way. Let's see. Fiercely saying KYRIE got booed yesterday. Yikes. Well, I mean, obviously he's going to get booed. He's going to always be hated in certain cities now on the East Coast forever. Boston, New York. Yeah, you're going to be hated in those two main cities forever, KYRIE. It's just how it is. You may be a hero in Cleveland, but you're not in Boston or in New York. You're really going to burn a bridge in New York after this one, trust me. Seymour saying, KYRIE going to Minnesota, if you take out D'Lo or him going to Phoenix with Booker or Denver with Jamal and Jokic, even Dallas matters drifting of powers. Well, we'll have to see what happens. I think that the short list I've seen for KYRIE is the Lakers and the Clippers and the Suns. That those three teams are the most serious, and maybe Dallas too. Those are the four teams that I've heard in anything with the noise with him. Seymour saying, what if KYRIE comes to Toronto for Trent and Fred and KD signs offseason? I'm drunk. Don't mind me. Well, first of all, we don't want KYRIE here, and I don't think he's anywhere near on our radar, or maybe he doesn't even probably want to come here either. So, yeah, I don't think it's very likely that he would come here. But Kevin, that's another story. We'll have to see the domino with KYRIE, how it falls, and then we'll have to see how quickly Kevin Durant decides he doesn't want to be in Brooklyn either now after that, because he did say that last year. Is like, if KYRIE's not here, I don't want to be here either. And that was the whole thing about last summer. So the whole revisiting of Kevin Durant coming to Toronto in some sort of deal, that is very realistic. But KYRIE is not on the list to come here. Trust me, we're not looking at him. Duke's saying, if we're trading, I'd prefer Fred first, followed by Siakam. Oh, if we're tanking, I'd prefer Fred first, followed by Siakam. I'd rather keep OG and Gary. Yeah, see, once again, I don't want to get rid of too many guys from the championship. We can only afford to get rid of one of them, if any of them at all. And I'm very reluctant to say Siakam. And the only reason why I say that is because in some ways I could see that's how we can improve. But with Fred, that's a no-no. We do not want to trade Fred at all. I really, really don't. I like keeping OG, but Gary's expendable also. Nako's saying, I think if the Lakers pick and two of Trey Murphy, Dyson, Herb are on the table, OG becomes a Pelican. Ooh, I don't even totally understand what you're saying there, Gerald, but I kind of understand. I mean, there's a lot of talk. They're saying that Memphis and New Orleans are fighting over possibly trying to get OG. That maybe they have two different packages coming towards us that could be very interesting. And that would maybe what Bobby and Messiah are looking at. I don't know. I think it's folly to trade OG still. I really do. Logical Raptors Fanatic saying, not going to lie, Hoop Dreams 1.5 out of 2 sucks. It ain't the same as the original. Pat Bev is meh as the main guy. Arthur Aggie was more likable, and you root for him to succeed, seeing the bad luck he fights through. Yeah, Hoop Dreams, I'd forgotten about that movie, is a documentary, and it's about two young men who are trying to make the NBA, and Aggie, and I forget the other kid's name. It's like William or something. Yeah, I didn't see the second version of Hoop Dreams. That stars Patrick Beverly. That is really weird. And I could see why that one wouldn't be as good as the original one. The original one was very interesting. And it's very old, but it is a documentary. It's a straight up documentary. Canadian Cowboys saying, salute Seymour and Tom and all Raptor freaks. And I'll check today, Raymond. Also, I agree. If we do trade anyone on the team, I'd pick Spicy P, but we better get a lot of first round picks in a couple of seconds. I don't even care about the picks. I just want to get a very solid, good players. Two really good players that can hit the ground and help us contribute right away. That's kind of what I'm looking at. G saying Masai does not tend to trade the veteran point guards. Raptors don't even have a good backup point guard. I can't see Fred being traded unless it's for another good point guard. He knows playbooks and players' tendencies. Yeah, that's why I keep saying he's the brain of our team. We want to go brainless. Well, that would be what we would do if we traded Fred right now. As much as all the Fred haters are coming for him, they don't realize this. If we trade Fred, we go to become a brainless team in some ways. And that's no good. We don't want to be losing part of our smarts on our team in general. All right, let's see. What am I doing next? I'm going to go ahead and do the real mascot matchup. The last time we saw the mascot, he just got his ass kicked by the Sun on the side of the street because he knew some Muay Thai or something like that. And he kicked the shit out of him. He beat him up pretty good. But all of a sudden, this rocket car, this funny car, pulls up next to him. Somebody's driving it. It's clutched. It's just some dude. He's like a race car driver guy. He's like, hey, you get in the car. I'll help you out. You seem like you're in trouble. He's like, yeah, okay, I'll get in the car with you. So he's like, I'm going to take you to the hospital because you don't look too good. And it's like, yeah, this has happened to me before where I had to get into a rocket car and go to the hospital because I've been beat up by people. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take you home. And well, he's kind of a little worried because he remembers the last time he was getting taken to the hospital, that wasn't the hospital he got taken to. He got taken back to that place where Nurse Annette and the Cavalier nurse were holding him in that sauna room in that hospital bed. Yeah, the first half of the season, y'all remember that arc of the story where he had just had trouble just getting out of that room. Well, he's free and he's out and about and he's in the rocket car and he's starting to realize, this kind of smacks at this time when I got away from that place and now I'm getting taken back to it. He's like, I don't like this. You know what? He's going to be proactive and control his own destiny. So even though it doesn't make any total sense, he decides he's going to go ahead and knock the guy out of the car while it's moving and take over driving the car and get out of there just to make sure this dude is not taking him back to Nurse Annette's hell room that he was in before. That he really needs to get away and never see Nurse Annette again. Well, he won't this season, hopefully, but this is a threat and he's worried about it. Now, he doesn't know for sure this guy's going to go do that, but he's going to do this anyway. So he does. He hits him out of the car. Now he's driving the rocket car. Well, he got to win the rocket car from the guy. And maybe it's silly. The guy's like, hey, why'd you do that? He's like, well, I'm worried about you taking me to a prison that I was in earlier this season. So now he's in the rocket car and he's driving. He's like, cool, I got this rocket car. And he's driving down the street. And all of a sudden he sees, like, on the side of the road, a bear. That's right. He sees this bear that he remembers kind of attacked him in the woods. It's like he's not sure if it's the same bear. It's like, once again, he's not totally sure if this is the same rocket car or this is the same bear. But in some ways, he's thinking about, maybe I should get some get back against this bear that almost tried to kill me. Well, what's going to happen? We're going to have to find out on the real mascot matchup. He's got a rocket car and he's driving pretty fast down the road. And he does see that bear there. This is, it's the real mascot matchup. It's a fantasy story. So nobody get mad at me for PETA things if the next part of the story sounds really gross. All right. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens next time on the real mascot matchup. So crazy. I know it's a weird place. I'm trying to ground it in reality. Maybe it's a little too weird with the rocket car, I guess. Maybe a little too weird. All right, let's keep going with the comments and we'll wrap up this stream pretty soon, probably. Let's see. G saying, or Jody saying, Brooks in trade package for OG loves Toronto, defensive specialist and Bulldog. Seems, though, to be more hated by players and fans alike than ever before. Yeah, Mike, why'd you retract your message? Anyway, you know what? I think that's true in some ways, but like, listen, some of the people are on the inside with him and understand it. Like, I hated him when he first came to Toronto and said this was his house in the first game again, like he did that, which was last year. And it was because of Jamal McGlure, once again, saying it's our house. And then he was like, no, this is my house. But he earned that. He kicked our ass, and he really did deserve to own the deed to the Scotiabank Arena on that night, because he really carried the Memphis Grizzlies to win in our own building in a very dominant way. And well, he pulled that shit again when they came to Toronto earlier this season also. He said, this is my house. This is my house. And he has so many family that comes to the games. In some ways, I hate that. But also, in some ways, I understand that this dude is like a Detroit bad boy from back in the late 80s. He's kind of got an aggressive attitude. And he's a little bit, like you said, bulldog. And in some ways, that characteristic is a little bit attractive to me if he can be reined in and controlled and used as a weapon for the Raptors on this team. If he's somebody I'm not upset with that. I think that the connection to him being from Mississauga is very strong and powerful. I think the connection with him and Chris Boucher as former teammates at Oregon is very strong, and that he is a good fit, and that he could give us some of this tenacity and kind of attitude that could be very helpful to the Raptors. So I'm all for getting Dylan Brooks in a Raptors jersey. It's very interesting. Tobias is saying, speaking of Bears, I kind of want to check out Cocaine Bear. We're really getting all over the place. We started with Final Countdown Europe, and we've gone in different areas of things in the past 90 minutes. But now we're talking about Cocaine Bear. I wish I'd thought about instituting. Well, you know what? Maybe I can still do this. We'll see what happens next time on the Real Mascot matchup. If maybe Cocaine Bear might be the bear on the side of the road. We'll have to see, Tobias. You're inspiring me with my writing for that story. Seymour saying black pepper, mustard, barbecue sauce, steak seasoning. Grizzlies seasoned ready for the cooking. Let's go. That's right. This is what we're doing on the preview for today's game against the Grizzlies. We're sharing recipes on how to season your grizzly bear meat and eat it for lunch today before the game. That's right. That is very real. That Seymour Pape is eating bear for lunch today. And that is the recipe, y'all. Black pepper, mustard, barbecue sauce, steak seasoning, and boom. The seasoning of the bear meat is good to eat. That's right. I love it. I love it, Seymour. Cowboy saying, don't forget the hot sauce. That's right. Get some Mike's Hot on there or something like that. Let's go, Raptor Freaks and Raptors. All right, let me do a recap real quick so we can get it done in about an hour and a half. G saying, I personally would like a Brooks on the team. We need it. He's an attitude. He really is. In some ways, he'll hurt us, just like Kyle did at times, but also sometimes it's going to be a very good thing to have because he really cares. He really cares about winning. We can tell because he's really like that. I really care. It's like you can see it and when he talks so like, Duke saying, gee, this is why I think the Cavs are a match for us. Fred VanVleet and Siakam for Garland and Mobley. I hate that deal. I hate that deal so much, Duke. I don't want any of the Cavs. I hate Evan Mobley. I think he's a whack player. I don't want him. And I don't want Darius Garland sprout head either. I don't like either of those two players. I'm sorry. I can't endorse that deal. I don't want to trade with Cleveland. I don't want to have any of their players on our team. I really, really don't. I'm much more interested in trading with the Pelicans and the Grizzlies. Those are interesting teams to deal with because they have a lot of very interesting young players. Tom saying, let's go, Freak family. Let's get this W, Raptors. I would love to have a Steven Adams real-life Grizzly Bear. What? Steven Adams is such a weird character, but yeah, it's very interesting. All right, just going over the injuries again. Once again, Steven Adams is not playing for the Memphis Grizzlies today because he is hurt from a PCL sprain that he got in his right knee. So he's been out for a while, and he's going to continue to be out. So he ain't playing today. Dylan Brooks hit him in the nuts. So he is out because he's suspended for getting into a fracas with Donovan Mitchell on Friday, I believe, or it's Thursday or something. It's Thursday. Yeah, so he's not going to be playing today, Dylan Brooks, who we were just talking about. And now they're saying that Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr., the two all-stars for the Memphis Grizzlies, are both questionable today due to right tight soreness and right wrist soreness. Right tight soreness. What the fuck is right tight soreness, ESPN? What does that mean in your injury report for Jaren Jackson Jr.? Right tight soreness. Is this going to mean his whole right side is just really tight and sore? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. OG is out. Otto is out. That's the Raptors injuries. Our referees today are Mark Davis, Mitchell Irvin, and Fennessy Ransom. These guys are pretty much all favoring the Raptors statistically. So it's not a bad ref crew. Mark Davis, no ref hit jobs, no bullshit from you, man. We've been watching you since your bullshit in Sacramento years ago where you fucked us over on a win, and we still keep a close eye on you, Mark Davis. So don't you try no funny stuff in Memphis today. That's right. No funny stuff. All right, let's see. G saying, or Logical saying, gee, that's the bottom line. Facts on trading Fred. We don't have someone to step in and does everything he does for us at the moment, especially with the others being young at the moment. Later options will change. Developing SB, Delano. I don't know. There's a couple of guys. Delano could end up being a point guard of the future for a team still. It's interesting. Your pet Bear Steven. Tom is saying, Jason, I don't care. I don't see Cavs doing that. Those guys are younger and their chemistry is set. They may need some bench pieces, though. Yeah, I don't see them doing that deal either. It just looks too weird. It sounds too weird. Fred and Pascal, I don't think that's fair to us. I don't think that's equal. I don't think Darius and Evan add up to Fred and Pascal. I just don't think that that's actually an equal trade. They may need to throw a third person in from the Cleveland side and at least picks. So yeah, I don't see that possible in some ways. I don't like the deal myself. I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it is. I don't like Darius Garland at all. I think he's overrated. I don't think he deserved to be an all-star recently. I think partly he was an all-star just because the all-star weekend was in Cleveland. And I don't think he's actually really an all-star in this league. I know some people think he's so impressive and stuff like that. He's not anything like that to me. I'm gonna poo-poo him just like people would poo-poo a good player on our team. I treat a Cleveland Cavalier just like the rest of the league treats a Toronto Raptor. So yeah, Darius Garland, who the fuck is he? Who gives a shit? Evan Mobley, he shouldn't have been in the running for Rookie of the Year. We have our Rookie of the Year. Yeah, I'll slight them just like they slight us. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me today. If you enjoy the Raptor Freak channel, please, you can be a Raptor Freak too. All you got to do is subscribe, and then you can participate in the live chat with us every morning, 9:30 a.m. We're talking about the Raptors and what's going on that day. Well, today's a Memphis Grizzlies game at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Be ready for it, Raptor Freaks. Be ready to turn that TV on and get loud, get rowdy. And let's do this and beat these idiot Grizzlies. We got to get that bear meat down our gullet, just like Seymour Pape is doing today. He's eating that bear at his house right now. Angry Mexican saying, if you had to build your franchise with Trae Young or Siakam, who are you taking? I'm taking Siakam. I don't like Trae Young. I think that Trae Young causes a lot of problems for his team just as much as he causes good things. And that I don't like little weak guards like him that like are scoring or kind of like flying high circus kind of guys. No, I don't like him because in some ways his defense isn't that good. And Siakam's a way better player than Trae Young. That's what I'll say. So if they're going to do an injury replacement, no, it ain't going to be LaMelo Ball or Jared Allen this year. It should be Pascal Siakam. That's what I'm saying. And all due respect, Angry Mexican. Seymour saying, can you do a talk GM too? KYRIE, Nets GM saying, what are we going all in on Watanabe? What the fuck? You want me to do a call or something? Is that what you're saying? Can you do a talk GM too? KYRIE's Nets GM saying we're going all in on Watanabe. You want me to call Sean Marks? I don't want to call Sean Marks. I only call Raptors people. I don't want to talk to his Australian ass. Let them be a dumpster fire. I don't want to give them advice on anything. I'll maybe call Yuta Watanabe, but I don't want to call anybody else that has to do with the Nets. Blackhawk saying, I like C.D. Osman on the Cavs. We could use him. Yeah, he's a good player. And you know what? Out of all the guys on that team, that is one of the guys. But I don't think he's really that worth getting in some ways. I don't know. I don't like any of the Cavs. I just don't like the Cavs in general. I don't like the team. I don't like the franchise. And I don't like most of their players. I mean, Jared Allen may be the team player that I like the most on their team just because of his style and the way he plays. And I liked him before he came there. But the rest of them, I can't stand most of them. I really, really can't stand Evan Mobley. I can't stand Darius Garland. And a lot of the people on their team annoy me. And in some ways, C.D. Osman's one of them too. Cowboys saying, have a great day, Lex and Raptor Freaks. It's going to be an awesome day, an awesome game. Let's get the W. Let's go, Raptors. Everyone hit that like button. Let's go. Thank you, Bradley. I appreciate you, Canadian Cowboy. And Seymour saying it, like Masai said, F Brooklyn and add F Cleveland. I'm so with that. Seymour Pape. Sheriff Seymour Pape is bringing it right today, eating that bear meat and getting us ready for the game tonight. All right, Raptors, key to the victory. Listen, if this is a weakened Memphis team, well, let's really capitalize on this, Nick Nurse. Let's do things like with playing a solid rotation of maybe a few different looks. That if Memphis is missing 4 out of their 5 starters and they don't have all their best players, they're going to be going deeper into their bench, and a lot of their bench are inexperienced and very young. That this may be a little bit similar to like the Houston game the other night, where they're kind of having a lot of mistakes. And that if we play a lot of our veteran players and try and outvet them in some ways, we could win this game easier if we're able to do that, have the more experienced team against the Grizzlies, because in some ways they're not going to be very experienced if they're missing Ja, JJJ, Steven Adams, all these guys all at once. So Let's capitalize on that. Let's get Nick to get good rotations where there's lots of different people coming in and you're resting the starters a good amount of time throughout the game so that at the end of the game, they can close it home in an effective, energetic way, Nick Nurse. Maybe there's some matchup things you want to do by bringing in certain people off the bench. Ken Burch that you might want to do this time, but maybe not because there's no Steven Adams. But I'm just saying, just utilize your bench and try and get some production out of them because it's a lesser opponent possibly with no Ja Morant on the court. Then maybe you can afford to try and give a little bit more burn to some of the bench guys to get more production off the bench today. You didn't do a very good job against Houston, but we still won. So I can't complain about Chris Boucher being the only person off the bench that scored any points. That maybe we can do a little bit better with the bench tonight because that'll help things. I really do expect a big game from Precious today. The Precious loves playing in Memphis, and we saw that last year when they went to Memphis. He had a huge game and helped us win there. So we won in Memphis last year. We can do it again this year. So let's do it, Raptors. I believe. G saying no Brooks, no Steven. Let's get it done. That's right. For sure. No Brooks and no Adams. We'll have to see if there's no Morant and no Jackson also. I'll bet you there's probably going to be one of those guys is not going to show up for sure. And maybe one of them will. So we may be not seeing a Ja Morant tonight. So y'all have a great day and be ready for the game today at 6 p.m. Memphis Grizzlies. I'll see y'all tomorrow and let's go. Let's get those Grizzlies, baby. Let's eat those Grizzly cakes just like Seymour Pape is out there eating that Grizzly meat.